Now to test our application, we need a Sandbox account. Go to https://developer.paypal.com. Now on this page you'll see the Sign Up Now button. If you click on this button, you'll be redirected to the sign up form. Filling all of the information, which is basically first name, last name, email address, your password, which you want to use basically to access Sandbox, some security question, and click on Agree and Submit. You will then receive an email with the activation link, pretty standard procedure. So obviously you're gonna have to click on this link to activate your account. Once you've done all this, if you go back to developer.paypal.com and log in using the login form in the left top corner, basically your email address, which you've provided within the registration form, and a password you've chosen. Once you're logged in, click on the Create a Pre-configured Account. You can click on this link on your homepage, or you can go to Test Accounts and simply choose New Test Account Pre-configured. If you click on this link, you'll be provided with several options. First of all, select the country from which you basically want to test it. Then choose account type. We will be creating a seller account. We will create a buyer later on as well. Now login, email, what would you like it to be? It's not going to be exactly the same way. They're gonna add some numbers and so on to it, but just basically I'm gonna leave it as default. And some password which you would like to use. So I'm going to put password basically for now. Add credit card. What kind of credit card would you like to have associated with this? You won't have to provide any numbers. It's just all fake basically. Add bank account. Yes. Do we want any balance? No, let's leave it no. It's seller's account, so we want to see obviously how balance is going up after each sell. Notes, we don't need anything. Create account button. And once it's created, we've got some information. Account creation failed. Some information is incorrect or missing. Please correct your entries and try again. And what would that be? Well, I haven't got a clue, to be absolutely honest. But let's choose a United Kingdom once again. That should be fine. Maybe password. Let's try this like that. Account balance, let's put £100. Maybe that's gonna change something. Well, these kind of things are happening, as you can see, even with PayPal's website. So now if we create the account, yeah, there it is. Here we go. We've got our business account, which happened to be verified straight away as well. Now we're going to create a seller account as well, so that we can actually pay with some fake money. So another pre-configured. It's going to be United Kingdom. Now we looking for a buyer account. Password, I'm going to create the same one as previously. Let's say £1,000 balance on my account and create account. Oops, we got another problem here. Okay, perhaps I change this to buyer. I don't know if this is causing a problem. It doesn't really say what might be causing a problem. It just tells this kind of very vague information here. So let's try again. And hey, here we've got our second account. So now it's created. We've got a buyer and we've got a seller. We obviously for testing our application, we will need to provide a business email address. So this is going to be our business. So if you copy this, go back to our editor, open classes folder, and we need to go to the PayPal class and place this email address, assign this email address to basically our business property. So now if we save the PayPal.php, go back to our application. Now, very important thing, whenever you want to test application with Sandbox, you have to be logged into PayPal Sandbox. Otherwise, you won't be able to do much. So remember to always go to https://developer.paypal.com, log in with your newly created credentials, and then you will be able to test your application within a separate tab or separate browser window, basically, of the same browser, obviously. So now if we click on Proceed to PayPal button, as you can see, we are being redirected to PayPal Sandbox. We have to wait a few seconds. And now that we are on PayPal's testing store, as you can see the summary, all of the items which were in our basket with the unit price, the quantity, the total amount, basically subtotal for the order, the tax for the order as well, and the total in a chosen currency. If we scroll down, you can see that all the information which we've sent, the pre-populated information about the customer, have also pre-populated the form. So if we were about to pay, if the client was about to pay with a credit card, they have all this information already in their country. They have their first name, last name, first line of the address, because that's all we had with this specific record. Town, county, postcode. Obviously this doesn't make any sense, but that's what we've provided to our registration form, plus our email address. So all this would be much quicker for the client, from the client perspective. If they have a PayPal account, they can also use the login screen here and use the PayPal credits or their associated credit or debit card actually to pay using PayPal, basically. So, but for obviously, because we have PayPal's Sandbox, we will be using our personal Sandbox account. So let's copy this email address, paste it in, and obviously our password, and hit on login button. Now that we are logged in, we still have a confirmation, obviously, what we are buying, all the details, and so on. And here at the bottom, we've got what it's going to be posted to, which is our address, the client's address, contact information of the buyer, which is the email address of the seller, basically. Sorry, our email address, not the seller. So if we click on Pay Now, you can see we've got a confirmation together with the transaction ID and details of the merchant, which is the business email address and telephone number, and obviously name of the business, which is, in this case, is just a test store. So now we can click on the return to our test store. Yes, we want to continue. And you can see we have been redirected to our return page, which we've provided together with all other form fields. So all this information has been sent to PayPal, and now we are redirected to the page we wanted the client to be redirected. So obviously it's error because we haven't created this page yet. However, the URL has been passed correctly. So let's move to the next video. I'm going to explain you a little bit more how much we can do with a Sandbox account, what kind of information we can get from all these transactions and so on. And then we're going to have a look at IPN, which is instant payment notification by PayPal as well. Now that we are still in our Sandbox, we can go to our test email section. And as you can see, this section displays emails which have been sent to both buyer and seller. First, if we check the buyer's email address, which is basically telling you, hello test user, you send a payment of $43.98 to this store, blah 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 blah. It may take a few moments for this transaction to appear in your account, and obviously all the merchant details and so on. So this is like a test email which would be sent to you if you were using the production obviously email and your real email address in order to process the payment. Then obviously sellers as well, the same. You receive the payment from test user and so on. So as you can see the email addresses which would also be delivered to both seller and a buyer. That's one of the things. If you go back to the test accounts section, we can also log into these accounts as if we were using the real accounts. So let's start with the business account. Actually, let's start with the personal, because business we're going to do a few more things there. So if you select the personal account and click Enter Sandbox Test Site, it's pre-populating actually login screen with this specific email address, so we only have to provide the password and hit login button in order to log in. It all looks like a proper PayPal website, obviously, rather than Sandbox. Here's our balance, which has been reduced because I've already made a few payments, obviously. Transfers, you remember, we put £1,000 a balance to start with. I've already made 2 transactions, so you have all of the details of the specific transaction. Obviously, if you click on details link here, you can see who we sent the money to, how much was it, for what items, and so on, taxed, and so on. So this is how it works. So if we now log out of this one, which is most probably going to log us out from the this account as well if we were about to refresh. But now if we go to the business one, select the business one and click on Enter Sandbox Test Site. Obviously we need to log in as well. Okay, so now we are logged in. We see how much money we got already. Our balance to start with, we've requested £100 to be on the account. We had already 2 transactions to our account, so 2 payments have been completed. We have issue refund if you would like to issue the refund for the transaction, obviously, and we have several different options. If we go to our profile page, click on the profile link rather than on any of the options in the drop-down menu. If we click on the profile, now if we scroll down and have a look at our custom pages, custom payment pages section, if we click on this link, you can see we have default page at the moment. If you remember, inside of our PayPal class, we have page style property. So this is where we can actually create the new one. If we we need to go to this one. We've logged in. Okay, so we want to add new one. If we click on Add button, and now let's obviously, if you have a logo hosted somewhere, you can provide the full URL to this logo here. We don't have any, obviously, so we won't be bothered with this. Now, cards, area, gradient, color. This is where you can play with the colors and all sorts of things. Actually, header, image URL, and so on. So let's just change the header background color to whatever color we currently have on the website, which is basically like black one, I think. If you use our Fireback, have a look at the background color is 111111, basically. So if we go back, header background color, let's actually use 111 rather than triple. Use 6 digits. Actually, we don't use a pound, the hash symbol here. Header border color, let's use the same color. Background color the same. We can preview the page. Enhance checkout, let's choose. Oops, we've got some problems here again with PayPal. So let's go back to the page, preview classic checkout. Can we preview it? Or is there going to be problems as well? Some error. Paste as default page. Cannot be edited, replaced, or removed. Oh, yes, of course, because we haven't changed the name of the template. So let's choose it test for now. And if we preview it this time, in the standard, as you can see, the color has changed. The only the content is gonna stay on the white background, standard PayPal white background. If we wanted to provide some image here, we can go and basically provide this URL as well inside of one of this header image. Then we have logo image as well, card, area, gradient, color, and so you can play with all these details. So let's save it for now, so that we have this test page style, and basically copy the name. Go back to our editor, and rather than null, let's just put this test inside of the single quote. Now if we go back to our page, let's go to checkout, next. Actually, before we go, let's create these pages, this return page and cancel page. So go to our pages folder and create the page called, it was return.php, and another one which is cancel.php. So for the return, which was, we need to obviously require once, we need the header first, underscore header.php, obviously we single quote, and then closing PHP tag. Copy this, and same for the footer, h1 thank you, and some message something along the lines like thank you for your order. Okay, now copy the entire content, place inside of the console as well. There was a problem, or something like this really. There was a problem with your order. On the new line, please try again later, or just please try again. That's fine. Okay, if we close the console, we're gonna go back to return in the next video because we need to add another line of code, but that's in just a second. So if we go back to our browser, we've got two products, click on proceed to PayPal. We are being redirected to PayPal now. As you can see, the page style now is with this black background, which we wanted. And obviously everything else is exactly the same way we've done it before. Obviously, you can click on continue if you want to use credit card, and then you will be provided with all these options for the credit card with the form pre-populated with the values which we've sent together with this request. So let's move to the next video and have a look at this return page. Now our return page has a thank you heading and thank you message, which is all fine. However, as you can see, our basket still contains all of the information. In other words, our basket hasn't been cleared, and we can go to checkout again and make the same purchase, which we don't want to do. So if we go back to our return and return page inside of our editor, before our require ones, let's call a new method, session clear. We haven't got this clear method yet, and we're going to pass one parameter, which will be basically the name of our session basket. Okay, now let's open our classes folder and our session class. Scroll right to the bottom, I guess, and let's create this new public static function clear. Scroll up. Okay, a little bit higher. We'll pass one parameter, which is ID, by default null, and if is an empty ID, else we're gonna do something else. So if it isn't empty, then session ID equals null. We're setting this to null, and unset session with this specific ID. Now, it's all fine, but there might be a problem if the session doesn't work. So first of all, we check if it isn't empty and is set session with this specific ID. How we can check if it's an empty as well. Now, if we don't pass any parameter, we want all of the sessions to expire, all of the sessions to be cleared. So we simply use PHP function session destroy, and that will do the whole trick. So now that we've got this page, if we go back, refresh the page, you can see all of the items from a basket have been removed, and our page displays our confirmation message, which would happen after coming back from PayPal, after making obviously the payment.